Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about adding integers. And when we add integers, it's easy to use the number line. And when we're adding, there are two rules. Number one, when you add a positive number, you move to the right. Rule number two, when adding a negative number, move to the left. That's all there is to it. And so when we go through this little demonstration right here, and we go through the subsequent examples, it boils down to those two rules. I'll let you finish copying that down. Let's go ahead and label our number line. Two, three, four, five, six, seven, and I'll put 7 on the other side. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, and -7. Adding a positive, move to the right. Adding a negative, move to the left. Let's do a quick example. For example, in A, if I say I've got 2 plus 5, and I plot this on my number line, I'll start at 2. I'm always going to start at that first number. And when I add, I'm adding a positive 5. See, it's not plus a negative 5, it's plus 5. And so when I add 5, I'm going to move to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And where I end up is at 7. So 2 plus 5 equals 7. I added a positive, I move to the right. Let's look at a different example in B, where I start at 1 and I add a -6. And so when I start at 1, okay, I'm start at 1 and I'm going to add -6. I'm adding a negative number, so I'm going to go to the left. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1 plus -6 is -5. So when I add a negative, I go to the left. That's all there is to it. There's a shortcut though. That way always works, but here's the shortcut. The shortcut is if the numbers have the same sign. For example, 2 plus 5 equals 7. You know that. I add the absolute values, so the absolute value of 2 plus the absolute value of 5 is equal to 7. Because the absolute value of 2 is 2, the absolute value of 5 is 5, and so that's 7. Let's see if it works with negatives. -3 plus -4. So according to my rule here, it should be the absolute value of -3 plus the absolute value of -4 is equal to 7, and I keep that common sign. Alright, so the common sign over here was positive. Over here, the common sign is negative. Alright, so it's going to be a -7. Let's look at this on the number line and see if this is true. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. Well, I'm going to start out at -3, and because I'm adding a negative number, I'm going to go to the left. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, because I'm adding that negative, and I get to negative 7. Well, you see that that is correct. So that's when the numbers have the same sign. So either they are both positive or both negative. So same sign is both positive or both negative. Keep the common sign, add the absolute values. Well, what if they have different signs? Because a lot of times we'll have like a -5 plus a +6, something like that. I'm going to say subtract the easy way. And what I mean by the easy way is subtract the bigger number, so the bigger absolute value, minus the smaller. Absolute value. So essentially it's going to be the bigger number minus the smaller number, meaning the absolute values. If we look at an example, if I have -6 plus 5, watch how this works. I know that if I look at the absolute values, the absolute value of -6 is 6, and the absolute value of 5 is 5. So essentially that's going to leave me to say 6 minus 5 equals 1. And then I'm going to keep the sign of the bigger absolute value. Well, the bigger absolute value is 6, so I'm going to have a -1 because the bigger absolute value is 6, so 1 is negative. All right, so that's how this works. You keep the sign of the bigger absolute value. Alrighty, let's look at this first example because this is exactly what we're talking about. All right, this says adding integers using a number line, but we're going to use the number line to check. So I've got 5 plus -8. So different signs. So when I look up here, I'm going to use this strategy. I have 5 plus -8. So absolute value of 5 equals 5. Absolute value of -8 equals 8. So I'm going to subtract the easy way. So I'm going to say 8 minus 5 equals 3. And because 8 is bigger, meaning absolute value, I'm going to say I'm going to keep the sign that stays with 8. So it's going to be 8 minus 5 is 3. And the answer equals -3. Because this negative comes from the -8. All right? If we use a number line to check, and I draw this number line here, and I go ahead and put 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll put 5 on the number line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is right here. And I've got -8, so I'm going to move to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is where I end up, and that's -1, 2, 3. So this is -3. I can always use a number line to check. Alrighty? So I want you to go through these next couple on your own. I didn't leave you a ton of space here, but maybe you can just do this one, and we can talk about -6 minus 10 plus 10 in class. Okay? So try those on your own, noticing these are different signs. These are same sign. and these are different signs. All right, and then use your rules up here to talk about those. Last little thing, the additive identity and the inverse. The additive identity is the number that you add to end up with the same number. So 5 plus x equals 5. Well, x equals 0 would give us 5, so 0 is the additive identity. And the additive inverse is the number that you add to end up with 0. So 5 plus x equals 0. Well, to get 0, I'd have to say x would be negative 5. So the opposite of a number is the additive inverse. Make sure you're taking notes on these videos, guys. If you have any questions, you can write them down for me in the margin. We'll see you next time.